Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. Kind of question on if I should even do a review on Days of Our Lives. And I was particularly today because it was a very emotional episode. And for lack of better words, I just didn't feel like I was really equipped. When it comes towards like these death scenes and these scenes that are really sad, it doesn't really do anything for me. And because of that, sometimes I feel like I can kind of come across as very cold hearted. And in reality, everyone that watches these shows get affected differently. And for me personally, it doesn't really do anything. Um, I didn't even write any notes. I'm just kind of just taking this kind of off the brain and just more of just my thoughts, if anything. Now, what I will say is I'm glad that Rex found out that Philip is alive. Lucas is like, you got to sit there and tell him about Kate. Um, Also, Rex was able to take the bottle away from Lucas because he found that Orpheus gave it to him, and even though he knew the reason why he gave him the bottle, you know jail sucks. Okay, and on top of that, everything with his mother, so it's very easy for him to fall off the wagon. But Rex was able to take it, and he even told the security guard like, "Yo, listen." That happens again, I'm telling the warden I'm gonna sit there and get you fired, or somebody's gonna be getting fired at the end of the day. Um, Kate decided that she wanted to be cremated. Rome is going through a hard time. Paulina and Abe are able to see that, so they're there to sit there and try to support him and everything. Now, Alex is feeling like crap, and he should feel like crap. He really should. Now, granted, it was a mistake. He did want to tell Sonny that he was the one that turned off the phone and everything like that, and it was because he felt like Chad just kept overstepping his boundaries. First during Christmas, then the whole work thing, and she decided to take off to go roller skating. I mean, ice skating with the kids and everything. So he felt like this is another time where Chad was going to overstep his boundaries. But Sonny at the end of it was like, "Yo, listen, you got to tell her the truth. You don't want to sit there and start this off in a lie." And he can tell that it's pretty much kind of eating him away. Of course, Alex is like, if I tell her this, she's going to have nothing to do with me. But here's the thing, though. Stephanie keeps blaming herself. She keeps blaming herself for missing her phone. She is thinking that, the reason why she didn't get a chance to say her goodbye to her mother is because she turned off the phone. She's blaming herself. And the best thing for Alex to do is to be honest with her. Yeah, you know what? There's a good chance I might lose her. But that guilt that she's feeling is going to eat away at her for a very long time. And it's guilt that's, shouldn't even be placed on her. And let's just be very clear for a minute. Even if she did turn off the phone, you know, that's not something she's had to feel guilty for. Things happen, and it's not like she had a crystal ball and she knew that she had to have her phone on at that specific time. But just to sit there and release some of the guilt, Alex should come clean. Chad was over there to sit there and kind of comfort her, and you know, um, sometimes sometimes a couple of the best ways you can sit there and help somebody besides just listening is to sit there and I guess like open up a wound or whatever in yourself. Like if you talk about something personal that happens to you, a lot of times it does make somebody else feel a little bit better. Like if we just come over there, it's like, oh, you should do this and you should do that, and I'm there to listen. It's like it's nice and everything. It's a nice thought, but it's different because with Chad, she understands that he's going through pain and through loss, so he kind of understands and he kind of gets it. And I know they're talking about I'll call Marcy. What is her name? Abby. Oh my goodness. Talking about Abby is still a very hurtful thing to do. But if it helps somebody else feel better, then, and it seemed like, at the very least it did comfort her. Now, Alex did come by, and that whole time that Chad and Stephanie was having this conversation, she was very befuddled by the fact that she didn't feel like she turned off her phone. It's not like her to do that, you know? Um, she used to always have her phone off. And so even as she's talking, it's like it doesn't really make sense. And when Alex came to the door, it was like, yo, she was like, yo, did you turn off my phone? Now, Cliffhanger Friday. So there's a good chance that he'll sit there and just be honest. She'll be upset. And she probably won't want to sit there and talk to him for a while. And that's just the price that you got to pay to sit there and be honest. Because Sonny was like, listen, if she figures out that she didn't do it, not only is she going to be mad at you for what you did, but she's going to be mad at you for lying. So I guess time will tell. Now, the scenes with Steve and Jada was kind of difficult to watch. And I don't mean because it was like really sad and depressing. Because, there's a certain level of sadness to it, yes. But, for me, it's the way that the scene was taking place. The no crying, and that, even with Roman was like doing this whole, if I close my eyes hard enough, then I guess the audience can see that I'm really in a lot of pain. It's like, no, we can see that there's no liquid around it. It's like, as hard as he's trying to sit there and make it seem like he's sad, even when he's holding the urn, it's just like it just doesn't work for me, you know. Like with Terry on General Hospital, you felt it more because it's like you ever cried so much that you are still in that emotion, but there's nothing coming out. That's what it was like when I was watching Terry on General Hospital. So watching more the aftermath of the crying and the tears and stuff like that, you felt it a lot more. But watching Roman, watching Steve, so that they're trying their best to do a crying scene was very distracting because it was just like I should be in a moment with this scene, but it's just not working. Even when Jada came in and he hugged him, it just felt flat for me, you know. And it took. I mean, granted, I wasn't gonna be sad anyway, but I guess it would have made the scene a little more impactful if it was done right. But it's a soap opera, and there's all sorts of different reasons why a lot of people can't pull off crime scenes, and unfortunately, it's just one of those things that you kind of just gotta just deal with. You know, I mean, granted, yeah, I don't expect people to be perfect, but if you can't pull off something that has tears in it, it just falls flat for me every single time. It really does. Some people in soaps can do it, some people can't. And yeah, it just makes it really oof, bad when you can't. Let me just double check. Because here's the thing, okay, so I didn't write notes, I just wrote characters' names. And like I said, I feel like this is just, I'm going to call it a review. But this is more just about my thoughts. I mean, overall, it was okay episode. It was okay. It was more meant to be more of an emotional episode than story driven. So again, knowing that they are, you see scenes of them in heaven and everything like that, it just brings the whole thing flat as a board. It's like that they're not dead. You know that they're gonna come back, and even if there's a twist where it's like only 2 or 3 of them are just gonna come back, it's like that it's still gonna come back. You know that they're still gonna come back. And I guess for me, sometimes when it comes towards these scenes, and another reason why I don't get really emotional is because when it comes towards soap operas, when it comes towards death scenes, and the reason while it may be sad, and I know it kind of be weird to sit there and say, but I appreciate them so much is because it reminds you that life is short, you know? Like without death, it makes life not as impactful. It makes the time that you are with your loved ones, the experiences that you have, the things that you do so impactful because you know at any point it could be over. And so without death scenes, without characters dying, it's like, even within that show, even though those lives in those shows, it makes it much more impactful, you know? I'll sit there and say the story again because I said it in my GH3, but I'll sit there and say it in this one. And I don't know if it's going to relate or not, but screw it, I'm going to do it anyway. So, Vampire Diaries. There's a point where Stefan gets killed, right? Now, Stefan, up until a point, I was like, I like him. He has some funny scenes. He's an interesting character and everything like that. But I was more of a Damon fan. Let's just be honest. But when Stefan died, and I don't mean like the last episode. If you didn't watch it, then you're still gonna enjoy it. But when he died in that episode, I was like this for a whole week. I was like, what? Just I was in shock. Okay, and I remember when I was used to really go on Facebook or whatever, and they sit there and checking it out, and like for a whole week, people were just like, I can't believe he's gone. Now, granted, he was literally gone for like 1 week and he came right back in the next episode. But for like those days, those 7 days or whatever, I was just like, what? And it just really made me appreciate the character so much more. Again, I was still a Damon fan, but, it made me appreciate the character a lot more. I feel like that's pretty much about it. I can't really think of anything else that happened. So with that being said, I'm going to go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, and I will see you in the next video.